Well, I don't cover religion that much. I think, you know, being active on the internet and, sort of those types of things, I think it's important, especially pertaining to my religion, which I would say you know, I subscribe to it, I believe in it, and, when I Google around, when I try to research for something, especially explaining my religion, the Hindu faith, in a Western context and a Western person's understanding, a lot of people can't really describe it very well. It's been described very nicely, in the East because, that's just a cultural norm. But I think I have a little bit of knowledge to say, hey, you know what, maybe I could have described it in a Western context. And so I guess I'll just start off with a broadened view of what Hinduism to me really is. Um, to me, I don't see it as a religion. There's no thou shalt not eat meat, thou shalt worship 30 million gods, thou shalt do this X, Y, and Z. It would be nice, it'd be nice to have a list of things I can and can't do, but there isn't that. It's a set of rules, it's a set of ideas and theories, and they all kind of correlate together. So the first thing I'll mention about Hinduism is the idea of cycles. Um, we believe in the idea of reincarnation, that based on your karma, it's going to decide, where your soul goes. We believe in two things: a material world and a soul world, or Atman. And there's a key distinction between the material world and the idea of putting yourself back into the Godhead, or, we'll call it God for now, I guess, just to place that Western context, but we'll dive that to a little later. But we believe in the idea that, people say that, oh, you worship cows, you worship a 30 million gods. I get it, but there's a lot much more nuance to it, unfortunately. There's so many holy scriptures, there's so many books, but to me, the most central would be the Bhagavad Gita, because it is a myth. It's a legend. If you ask a professor, they're going to say it's a myth. I happen to believe it's real. Obviously, it's my religion. I'm just going to throw that bias out the window. But the Bhagavad Gita is a poem. It's an epic between Krishna, who, for lack of a better word, is literally the reincarnation of God on planet Earth. So Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu. Vishnu is said to be the preserver. Um, and anytime, shit hits the fan, or the human life is out of order, Krishna or Vishnu comes down to earth in various multiple forms, appealing forms, to basically lay out the groundwork and help us, stay on track. And with the idea of cycles, we believe in a universal cycle in terms of, we don't believe this is the first universe. We believe this could be, the 10th, the 12th, the millionth universe, right? So essentially what that's saying is, you know, the universe goes through different cycles, and once our time is up, then we reset. It's a cycle. And, there is scientific basis for this, the theory about how the Big Bang and redshift, the universe is always expanding, but eventually it will collapse on itself, and then we'll go back to that singularity point, and the Big Bang will continue to happen. That's why I give merit to this religion. I mean, obviously I grew up practicing it, but the more I read it, the more it makes sense and it follows to me. But the Bhagavad Gita essentially is a dialogue, a dialectic between Krishna and Arjun. And Arjun is a prince. So think about back in India, people were fighting with bows and arrows, swords. The idea of a gun didn't exist. People are riding on elephants into battle. And there's two factions of a war for basically the empire of India. And you have Arjun, who is considered to be the best archer ever. Not ever, but there's a lot of nuance here. But I'm just to keep it simple. Arjun is an excellent warrior, an excellent prince, and his cousins are on the other side of this war. And for just because of how nuanced this story is, his cousins actually have a great reason as to why they should, rule over this empire. However, their intentions are flawed, their intentions are misguided, and they don't believe in Krishna to have the correct path to moksha, or breaking free from the cycle of rebirth. But Arjuna has trust in Krishna. But the thing is, Arjun, um, he's a human. He doesn't want to kill his cousins. Who would want to kill their cousins, right? I mean, put yourself in that perspective. Killing your entire, extended family for political gain, how could that even be possible? But Krishna's on this side says, hey, you should go out with this. You should do it. And, stick by your duty or dharma to do it. And, you don't see this in many religions, right? We can argue whether or not religions promote violence, but have you ever had a god say, hey, you know what? Carry out this fight. Carry it out. Do it. Right? It's definitely it gives me chills every time I think about it because it's atypical in a lot of various modern religions. But you might have heard of the Oppenheimer quote where he um, basically talks about when in during one of the poems, one of the books, one of the chapters rather, Krishna comes out in his multi forms to Arjuna. He gives them he gives Arjun the power to see Krishna in all his forms. So basically, from Arjun's perspective, he's literally seeing the infinite cosmos right above him. And, Oppenheimer obviously compares that to when he, did his test for the Manhattan Project, and it was nothing like they've ever seen before, and he was just going through the motions about, like, oh shit, you know, I have the power to kill so much people. So that often gets quoted. That's like obviously the most quoted thing in the Bhagavad Gita, but I think the most important thing to me would be in the chapter Karma Yoga, which is text 37, and it goes, the Blessed Lord, Krishna, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion, and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring, sinful enemy of this world. Now, like I said, in Hinduism, there's no such thing as, I mean, obviously there are actions that are considered good and bad, but there's no sinning, like no idolatry, no adultery, no, you can't cheat, like you can't eat meat or something like that. There's nowhere in this book does Krishna say don't do this specific action just because, and that doesn't happen in any other religion. So it's hard for people to really grasp what Krishna and the idea of Hinduism is promoting. But the reason why this line sticks out to me most is you know that difference, like I mentioned earlier, the difference between the material world and the world above. I think especially in the modern day, and according to the Hindu scriptures, we are in that Kali Yuga. We are in quote unquote the end times. We still got a long way to go, but the end times are coming. And you know, and I believe it, right? I mean, social media and the internet and this globalization and all these sort of factors, industrialization, have kind of taken us away from that point of, we're no longer at touch with our soul. We're no longer at touch with something that's bigger or beyond. We're at touch with the material nature, you know, and, Krishna talks about lust. Obviously, in the Western context, lust is something of sexual desire. But lust in the Hindu context is much more broader. It encompasses a lot more things. Lust is simply the idea, and this is all my understanding. Lust is basically the idea that my life won't be perfect. My life won't be complete until I achieve X goal, right? So, for example, I'm in college. My life won't be complete until I get summa cum laude, or if I, get a girlfriend, or if I make this frat, join this club, become this position. So we're always constantly having these desires, and desires are natural. But what Krishna is trying to say is, don't act on something because of the reward. Don't act on something because you're afraid of failing. Act on something because it's your natural duty. Don't do good things because, the fruits come with it. Do good things simply because they are good. And understanding that there has to be, no, there doesn't have to be a reward or a fucking, you know, achievement associated with, achieving a certain good deed. That is what takes you from natural to supernatural, to be truly locked in with the passion of the, eternal, spiritual world, so to speak. I'm trying to keep this in a Western context to make it understandable, but so, you know, and that's kind of what's going on right now. You have on like Twitter, X, Instagram, whatever, people are posting the best versions of themselves. They're reposting these stories politically or whatever you have it because, the reward of it is, what? It's virtue signaling, right? So it's I'm going to post X, Y, and Z and it's going to make me feel good about myself. And, I'm going to appear as a morally superior person. But that has nothing to do with it. If anything, that is bad because, it leads you down that trap of I'm going to appear to be moral even though, I don't practice what I preach. I'm just doing it for myself. And according to Krishna, that is almost more dangerous than just committing, a bunch of bad acts, right? So this whole thing about, the Bhagavad Gita and what Hinduism is trying to tell us, it's not about here's my list. This is what you need to achieve total peace. We don't even believe in the idea of heaven. Like, we're going to go to heaven. It's going to be all clouds. We're going to be wearing togas. Food's going to be abundant. You can do whatever you want. No, we believe that life right now is a suffering. And we're suffering something what? Are we suffering right now? Are you suffering something when you're watching this video? The answer is no. What you are suffering is something in the past. What you are suffering is something in the future, right? Think about all the things. I messed up so many times in the past. I've lost a lot of people. I've said a lot of things I shouldn't have said. I've made a lot of mistakes, right? But that is in the past, right? It's out of my reach. That dimension of time is no longer in our grasp. But we're still suffering something, right? In the future, I don't have a damn clue about what the future is going to be. Man, 3 months ago, if you asked me would Aryan be doing this, sitting down making a YouTube channel, I would say no, probably not. That seems ridiculous. Yet here I am. If I can't even predict what I'm going to be 3 months or even hell a week into the future, right? Why would I even ponder? Why would I even consider anything I think about the future realistic? So, you think about the past, there's suffering. You think about the future, there's suffering. But if you stay within the present moment, if you look at it right now, I'm sitting down on my chair, filming a video, there is no suffering. Suffering is almost a man made illusion, or we call it Maya, that this illusion of the material world. You know, I'm not saying, obviously, don't do anything, you can always be complacent. I'm saying, hey, you have a lot of virtues. You may be a good writer, a good businessman, a good, whatever the case is. Krishna says, find your passion, understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and use that for good. Use that to bring yourself away from that material life. And I know the concepts I'm throwing out are very, kind of voodoo and hard to explain in, such a short amount of time. But if I had to, wrap this up nice in a bow that social media and YouTube like to hear, it's simply the idea, damn, I'm going for a long time. It's simply the idea that right now in the present moment, there is no stress, right? You can think about the past, think about the future, that's all without in our reach, right? Two, lust. In the material nature, we have all these desires. The idea of a depressed person to me is, someone who wants to achieve all their desires at once, right? You know, the light is too bright, it's raining outside, my hands are sweating, X, Y, and Z. We have all these desires maybe to get rid of some things or to get things, right? And, you know, thinking that your life will be, Confucius had a saying, a a sick man has one problem and a healthy man has, hundreds of problems. So it's basically detaching yourself from the material world, detaching yourself from the thoughts of the future and the past, and understanding that there is much more to life. We do these actions not because we want to succeed or we fear failure. We do these actions based on our dharma, our duty. And, a lot of people may ask me, what is my dharma? What is my duty? That is almost ultimately up to you. And through your recollection of yourself, through your introspection, learning about yourself, pondering about yourself, finding your strengths and weaknesses then and then only, right? That's basically Hinduism in a nutshell. That's what Krishna means. Sure, I'll go into karma, right? Because karma is the only thing I feel that is also adapted from the West. And this is going on pretty long, so thank you for watching if you're still watching. But karma is, portrayed as, this is my good karma, this is my bad karma, and it's like a balance sheet. I need a little bit more good karma to put myself up. And anytime someone gets, anytime a person I don't like gets a little taste of revenge, instant karma. Throw that shit out the window. That has nothing to do with karma. That's just the Western, depiction of it. What karma really is, I like to compare it almost in the sense of gravity. Gravity exists. You can believe in it, you can't, or you don't want to believe in it. Doesn't matter. You will be affected by gravity. If you jump up, you will go back down. If you're bigger, you will attract people around you, at least, if you're the size of a planet, that is. So gravity just exists. It is. Karma is. It doesn't reward those who believe it. It doesn't, discourage people. It doesn't punish people who don't believe in it. It just is. And what karma is not what goes around comes around, or you get a taste of your own medicine, or any of that kind of fun stuff we like to say. It's simply the idea that I am the reason why everything is. I am the, I'm in the driver's seat. My hand is on the wheel, and, the reasons for my life and the things around me, my successes, my failures, are all manifestations of actions I choose. It's basically saying, you have um, direct control over your circumstances. And, that might be a little different than, the Western idea, the Christian idea that, God has an infinite plan. But you know what? I truly believe that, and obviously, there are some things that happen, right, for a lot of people. But what I am trying to say is, a good analogy I like to bring up is, let's say, your house was taken away by a hurricane. You can either say, hey, this hurricane screwed up my house, this is so bad, or you could say, you know what, shit, I could have built a better house. At the end of the day, you're going to end up with a better house if you take responsibility. That's a very simple idea, but I hope that gets you in the right mindset of, like, this is what I'm trying to say, this is where I'm trying to allude to. Karma just is. And there's so many ideas that I can cover about Hinduism, but these are just some things I want to talk about. And the last thing I will end off with is, if you want to ask me, what is the main difference between your religion and someone else's religion? We'll take Abrahamic religions because those are the most popular, right? I wouldn't tell you we believe in 30 million gods. I wouldn't tell you we believe in reincarnation. I wouldn't tell you any of those things. What I will tell you is that most, if not all, religions say we were all born sinners. We were all born in bad. Humans are greedy. They're diabolical. They want to cheat. They want to do all these bad things. And we need to find God to escape that. However, in Hinduism, we look at things different. We are all born good. We are all born capable. We are all born good people. Yes, 100%. We are all capable of doing good, and we are all born in good morals, good guiding, good karma, good whatever you want to call it. However, you're going to point out, well, this person did this and this person did that. We believe also sometimes you can forget. And that's that idea of letting go of the steering wheel, being on autopilot, saying, whatever happens, this is not my problem, this is not my fault, this is not me. So the idea of karma, what Krishna is trying to tell us, put your hand back on that steering wheel, get off of autopilot, and understand that, there's much more to this world than what meets the eye. With that being said, thank you for watching. I love all religions. A lot of people are interesting. I've had great conversations. I'm not trying to make you convert. I'm just putting this out there so people understand what I believe in and it doesn't get misconstrued. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll see you tomorrow.